Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to topic 7. In this topic, we're going to be seeing how to use the layer style property. And this layer style property, we'll actually be understanding how to set materials, how to actually set drop shadows, inner shadows, how to actually give life to our entire drawing. Now, what we have done is we spent time in the last topic actually creating all the layers, right? So creating the layers is very important because if we don't have a layer, then we really can't give any layer style to it. So let's see how do we actually now edit each and every layer to provide a particular material, right? So we're going to use the move tool over here, guys, and I'm just going to select from here directly whichever one we want to start with. So we can just start with the walls are already black, so we won't be getting into that. We'll only be editing from the bedroom and upwards. So now when I'm talking about the bedroom, I can double click on the side over here or on this little box over here. Right now I have a paintbrush, but you all might even have a small image of this layer that you have created for this particular layer. So we'll just double click on this. And once I've created this, guys, over here, you can see we have all these different layer styles. And this is basically called layer style because we'll be styling that particular layer. And I can just put this on the side so we can actually see what's happening to the layer. Now over here we've got drop shadow, inner shadow, outer glow, inner glow, bevel, emboss, Saturn, color overlay, gradient overlay, pattern overlay, and stroke. So there are many different options over here. And we'll be starting randomly with the options, but depending on which one we'll be doing, we'll be covering all of these layer styles throughout the entire Photoshop course. Right, so let's start with the first thing, which is our pattern overlay. I will select the pattern overlay over here, guys, and you'll see that we have a pattern which has now shown up over here, and you can see that pattern is basically showing up from this area over here. Now I can do a drop down, and you can see we have all these different patterns which are already set over here, guys. But I'm sure maybe you all who have not used Photoshop before might not have these patterns. So let me go ahead and explain to you all how do you actually put up a pattern, and then we'll come back to this layer style, right? So I'll just scroll down and I'll show you that the last pattern over here is these styles, all right? So just have that in mind because whatever pattern we create is going to come on the side over here. So it's right at the bottom. It does not come on the top. It will always come right at the bottom. Last pattern over here will be the newest pattern. So I'll just close this because I don't want to add anything right now. And I'll click on File. And I'll click on Open, and there's materials over here, and now we can go ahead and select any material that we want. So you can see over here we have the wood, which I will just go ahead and select, and I'll press Open, and you can see I have this wood which is now opened up over here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to first understand what we want this wood to look like. So do we want the grains to be in the long direction, or do we want it in the horizontal direction? Right, so you can see this line is in the vertical, like straight upwards, right? Do we want it long? How do we want this particular texture? So if we want it in this way itself, what we'll be doing is we'll just go ahead and click on Edit over here and click on Define Pattern. And I can just go ahead and name here, well, it's already wood, so it's fine. I press OK. Now this wood has already got attached to the pattern overlays and we can use this now. But before I go ahead and show you that, let's see how we can change this wood as well. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this wood, and I cannot edit this wood because it is locked over here. So we have to do something which is called as, first of all, converting to a smart object and then rasterizing the layer also. So when I double click on this, you can see it says OK. This will directly rasterize the layer. But sometimes we want to just convert it to a smart object. So you can see I can right click on this and I can click on Convert to Smart Object. And what this will do is basically it will edit the object to a certain level where we can scale the object without it losing any of its quality, but we will not be able to edit the object whatsoever. So you can see for me to actually scale this now, I can press Ctrl and T, Ctrl plus T. So that will actually give me like something like, so when I'm saying Control plus T, the T is for tree. Alright, so Control plus T, and it will give me a scaling option like this. And I can now scale it as much as I want, or move it, or I can scale it right? We'll just come into how we can scale it, but you can see if I select the wand tool and I select any portion, I try deleting that portion, it will say it is not possible because it is not directly editable. So for it to become editable, we are going to have to press right click and we are going to have to press rasterize layer. So that's basically a two-step process to rasterize it, or of course, as I told you all, we can easily just double click on this and rasterize it all together. But there are times we don't want to rasterize the image because the size increases of it. We just want it to be a smart object so we can scale it. So that's how you will set the scale as well. Now, when we want to work with this particular object, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl T. So we're going to get these points all around over here. And you can see I can use any of these points to scale it, but it's going to be completely not uniform, as you can see. So I'll just press escape. Again, I'll press Ctrl T. Now to ensure that it is uniform, I will press Shift and I will scale. So Shift, as you can see, it is not going to let it be not uniform. It is actually going to let us only scale uniformly, and that's basically with Shift. Now if I press Ctrl T again, guys, we can actually come on the side over here, and you can see when I'm on this I can scale it, but when I go a little outside I can actually rotate it, and if I press Shift I'll actually go in 90 degrees for rotating, as you can see, something like that. And I can just move this till the end over here and I can press enter. So that's basically how we'll rotate it in the horizontal direction and keep it there itself. Now once I'm done with this, guys, I can just place it in exactly the way I want. So what I want is I want this grain to be half as well as this grain to be half, right? And I can actually now press Alt and kind of copy it on the side over here. You can see I can copy it on the side, but when I'm copying it on the side, guys, there will be this difference in these grains and in this line and in this texture. So it would actually be much beneficial for us if we had a mirror over here. So we can also mirror by pressing Ctrl T. I can actually move it from this side just like that. See, have a look at how I'm moving it from this side, kind of squeezing it, but then I'm kind of bringing it all the way this side and just going to place it back on top of this itself, and I'll press enter. Now when I've placed it like this over here, you guys can see how it's become actually a mirror. And actually this looks like a much better grain for us to create. So this is something which will actually help you guys create a very good material, and now we can go ahead and use this material itself. So I'll just set this the way it is, and I can just click on edit and define pattern, and I can just select wood, let's say, okay, wood 2, and I'll just press OK. Now this 2 has become a pattern, and let's go and find these patterns. So I can easily close this and say no need to actually, if you want to save it, yeah, you can if you want horizontal grains with you all the time, but I'm just going to say no, and I'll come back over here. Now when we're talking about the bedroom floor, I can actually double click on this and go to pattern overlay, and as I told you guys, you can now see over here that the last thing we saw were tiles. Now we have the vertical as well as the horizontal wood over here. So we can now use these wood in the decks or wherever we want. I'll just go ahead and select the tiles for this area over here. We can even select the marble for this area, and I can just kind of reduce its size. Now if my hall as well as my bedroom were given in one single layer, then both of them would be together. Alright, so now it's not given in one single layer, so we have two separate ones, otherwise it would be the same thing altogether. I can go to the toilet, and I think we can do the same thing for toilet tiles, guys. So I want you guys to go ahead and now kind of download a lot of the different materials that you want. So you can just go on the internet and kind of just type whatever material you want, and you can just get that in over here. So we can just go ahead and select Google Chrome, and over here we can type whatever we wish to find. So I'll just go ahead and type toilet tile texture, and you guys can see how we find all these different tiles, and you will be finding each and every object in the same way. So I'll just be going in, let's say I like this tile, I can just select this, right click, and I can just save this image over here. And now the minute you guys save it, that's basically the kind of files that we have saved and provided to you all. But if you all want anything different, anything more, you all can always just go and find that, and then you will be defining the pattern the same way we defined the wood pattern. That's the only way you'll actually find it in the pattern overlay. So now I'll quickly double click on toilet, and I'll just go ahead and select, let's say, these tiles. So I can actually reduce the scale over here. You guys can see scale, we have the opacity, and we have the blend mode. Let the blend mode be at normal for now, and we can just reduce the scale, right, something like this. And now I want to give it in the hall as well, so I can just double click over here, select pattern overlay. We have maybe the white marble as well. We can just go ahead and select that, kind of reduce the opacity. And if I'm reducing the opacity, you'll have a understanding that it's going towards the gray color which we have provided, right? So there's going to be not much of the color differentiation, since gray is going to kind of just let it be in the same tone and just kind of reduce it a little and make it a little lighter. Now I've got the side steps, guys. Now since this is in a group, we're going to have to enter into the group, and we're going to have to double click on each single layer to actually provide the pattern. So I'm just going to select this, I'll select the vertical tiles, and I'll reduce the scale as well. And guys, when we're reducing this scale over here, right, we have to understand one thing, that once we have reduced the scale and placed it, now we want to place the same scale on all of these, right? So what we can do is just press right click and copy the layer style from here. So that's actually going to copy everything in the layer style, and as of now the only thing we have done is the pattern overlay. And we can easily select the lower one and press shift, select the top one, so all three are selected, right click, and we can just do a paste layer style, as you can see, and automatically the layers would be pasted out over here. We can do the same thing now for these tiles as well, guys. So what I'll do is I'll just select the hall and I'll just copy the layer style, because I want actually the same tiles in the hall, I want it on the front steps over here. So I'll just go ahead and paste this as well, and you can see it's in phony steps. I can just double click on this and I can actually change it to T, so we have front steps. Then let's talk about these steps, which are the internal steps, guys. So I'm actually going to enter into the inside steps, and I'll just enter into any one, and I'll give it another pattern overlay, and I think we'll give it wood, but a little lighter wood, not the dark one as we have, something like this maybe. That would be good. And it's such a small layer, we don't really need to reduce it too much as the scale. I can just press OK, and I can copy this layer style now, and I'll just go ahead and select all these layers, and I'll paste the layer style. So we have got all these now pasted over here. Again, for the back tiles, I'm giving the same tiles which we have in the hall. So I'll just copy the layer style again, and I can just go to the back tiles over here, drop this down, select all of them, and paste it. Of course, we cannot, just go ahead and paste it on the group over here. We have to enter into this and then only paste it. Now we have the parking, so I'll just give asphalt. Now asphalt is basically ground cover, which we have right here on top. So I can just go ahead and provide that, and I can just reduce the opacity since I don't want something so dark also in my drawing. And we can go on the kitchen platform, double click again, select the pattern overlay, and kind of just give it maybe granite texture. Again, we'll reduce the opacity of this. So this is somehow how you'll kind of give up the textures over here. Of course, the way you want to make the entire interior look is completely up to you. That's also, we can obviously, once we have set this, we can have a couple of changes made. So like if you just want now the whole space to actually have just one particular material, so what you can do is, let's say I select the hall, I'll just do a copy layer style, and I can just paste in the bedroom as well. So the whole thing will become white now. And this wood is acting up too much, so I can just double click here, change the pattern overlay. So I'm just showing you guys that if you want to make changes all of a sudden also, it's completely okay. You can always now just act in the same way at all and just use it to actually work in a particular method, right? So again, the toilet tiles, I don't want such blue. See, we've provided all these materials, but now we want to make some changes, and our client says no, we need some changes in them. So we can always do it for them as well, which won't really cause us that much of a problem. And over here we have this wooden deck, so I'm just gonna kind of double click on this. I don't want it so dark, I want to reduce it, so I can just go ahead and do that. Copy the layer style, select all of these and paste the layer style, and I think that's okay. I'm happy with this now, and then I'm happy with this now, and I can go ahead and I can actually edit it a little bit and actually create a certain thing out of it. So we'll see how we can actually provide shadows in the next topic, but for now I want you guys to understand how to provide materials, and go ahead and provide materials and create something what you guys really like, and then we'll see how to add these shadows. So I'll see you guys in the next topic. Take care.